Welcome to another day on planet Earth as we navigate these very interesting times, especially towards the end of the year. And I just want to welcome you for finding us here. Perhaps you have come to our channel for the first time or arrived in our group. And I'd like to give you a little bit more to follow in those days leading up, especially to what is going to culminate on the 21st to the 12th, where many call this the Great Ascension. And certainly the outer world is really challenging us to what we believe. And we know that there has been an absolute great divide between what you might believe and what another person might believe. And then that's coming together. So we see that play out in the political arena, especially in the US, but also here we are in Australia, where, like you, we're all going through this interesting experience of a virus that they say is devastating our planet. And you have many people who believe that. And then there's a whole group of other people who say, no, that's not true. And we're both on the same page. I guess we're both screaming at each other, why can't you see? Wake up, wake up. Why can't you see? And we're not different to each other. And I think in some way we have to come to this inner peace. And for many of you, you're on a spiritual journey and trying to decipher what you're seeing in the outer world and how can you change the information. And if you've never delved into quantum physics, or you have no understanding of Grigori Grabovoi's technology, then you've probably arrived at a very good time. I'd like to share something that we went through in our study groups last night and today. And I just wanted to take a moment to really just give you a little bit of understanding of what is happening on planet Earth at the moment. You know, we've arrived at a time when there's so much uncertainty happening on the planet, where we wake up and trying to question about what is real and what isn't real and what has actually happened. And I had a woman from the US today really speaking into the blessing of what this year has given to her, about how she's had to really spend time with herself and really get to know herself at a very deep level. And many of us are doing that. In fact, as I said, it's been a blessing not to have to go to work, and people have discovered that they can work from home. They don't have to go to the office. So now they have all this time free instead of having to be at an office and traveling on the road. And there's many people just popping open like this and questioning, because in social media, you can't question the narrative. And people are starting to go, but hang on, it doesn't make sense, some of the things that are said. And we've just come out of a massive lockdown in Australia, when we're told, you know, you can walk around the streets freely. There's no risk. We haven't had a virus here for over 37 days, no issue at all. But it really surprises me how many people still have a mask on them, where there's no evidence. So there's the people that question, the people aren't questioning. And I think that was the biggest shock for a lot of us, is just to see how many people don't question for yourself. And if you're the true avatar of yourself, then the only answers you can gain are from your inner world. So I just want to talk a little bit about that. You know, what's been happening and what we're seeing in the world is a lot of control, a lot of restriction, and fear is the greatest virus we have in the collective at the moment, as we live in this real duality where you separate yourself from your own intuition, from creator, from God, source energy, whatever you want to call it. And for us, it's so important to realize that this is when you're in these states, you are trapped in your left brain, you're polarized, you're in fear. And when you're in fear, then you can be controlled by somebody on the outside telling you they have more knowledge than you. You have to do as you're told. And certainly it feels like the whole planet has been this year in a prison and a trial by mainstream media, by the narrative. And we really need to think critically what is true for us. So we discussed this, about it feels like we're in a 3D prison, and we're now reaching out beyond there. And Mother Earth has been responding to this. Had the Schumann Resonance in this week, and many of you haven't been sleeping very well. You've been feeling lethargic. waking up at all hours. Some people have told me they felt their skin being itchy. Others have said they feel their skin burning. There's been a lot of emotions coming up as there is a clearing. It's like Mother Earth is birthing. And if anybody follows the Schumann Resonance is the resonance of the Earth measured in hertz. And normally it's 7.83 hertz. And over the last couple of days, when I've looked up the Schumann Resonance, it said it's off the chart. They can't even measure. And recently, yesterday it was 800 hertz. And indicated in this graph are the red areas that we don't normally see in the Schumann resonance. And this says that there is an interplanetary resonance that is actually also affecting that. So Mother Earth is going through its own birthing, and we're on the back of what's happening because we are not separate to Mother Earth, the universe. We are all very interconnected as well. So I just wanted to talk about, this awakening, this ascension, and you as the way shower. How do you move forward? Because what is very clear is that we're being birthed into a new reality, because we've been in a 3D matrix, very much trapped. Our consciousness has been harnessed and tried to be under control. And when you're in the 3D, you can't actually see anything that's in a higher perspective. As I said before, people in 3D, perhaps in their reality, they see that there's this terrible virus and we all need to mask up and we need to lock ourselves away. And you screaming at them, it's not true, that's not what's happening, can't you wake up? And they're screaming back at you, but can't you see there's a virus? In fact, you're doing the same thing to each other. And so there is a higher level that we're having to pull on now at the moment. We need to step off the drama and see from a higher perspective what's happening. And we can start to question, what is this? Why is this happening? And what is the truth for me? And by doing this, you can have, a different higher perspective of what is going on. So we have our chance to explore 3D energy. How do we feel when we're actually in fear? How do we feel when we're actually in control? What does it feel like on your physical body? Do you actually feel like it's in a certain area on your body? So you watch your responses from the outer world and how it impacts you. And then when we look at a 5D energy, because most people think 5D is like another planet you're going to, in fact, it's another way of being. And we discussed this so well today. It was like when you explore 5D, in fact, you feel with no judgment for everything. You are in compassion for the people that only see that there's this terrible virus going on, who are perhaps in fear. And in 5D, you're starting to feel like you're almost living in a totally separate reality to what is actually happening in the mainstream media or on telly. So one of the things that we can do is stay very present in the moment of now. We can really only influence now. Now, we live in a toroidal field where energy is always flowing, where information is always flowing, and our past and the future are always flowing into the present. And if we don't harmonize the past, it will affect us in the present and also the future. And there is information in the future that sometimes is not in harmony, that we also flows to us, that we need to harmonize in this moment. But how can we do that? And we do that because of our perception about what is going on. And the other thing we need to do is ask ourselves, what is the truth for me in this moment? We have now gone past the fact that there is an external guru. No longer are these models acceptable. The only guru is you. The only truth you can trust is your own truth. In fact, karma has evolved. There is no karma. There is no coming back to this planet. And that's a whole other discussion, totally. But you need to ask, what's the truth for you? And that's the only person, because I can tell you, when you go against your inner truth, you will feel that maybe not in your stomach, or that bulge in your throat, that something is not right, that something goes against your natural instincts. So I want to talk about the field of creating information. It's some information from Grigori Grabovoi, the Russian scientist, and we talks about how we actually create our reality. And I want to discuss that with you today. So here we are observing the outer world, and our perception is based on what we're experiencing with our eyes, what we're understanding from our belief systems, from our values, and how we filter information from the outer world. And in front of us, we have our area of perception where we actually perceive what's happening. So information comes to us, not just visually, but comes to us in words, in feelings, and it causes us to observe it and make a judgment on it and then bring it into our area of perception. So for instance, let's use an example. Everybody's fearful of a virus, and so they create the fear. You lock onto that fear. You lock onto that fear with your thoughts. You lock onto the fear with your emotions and your feelings. And as you lock onto it and think about it, you actually bring it very strongly into the area of your perception, which is 1 meter around you. And by doing that, you start to then focus along a conversation in your logical mind, and you start to imagine what it would be like and worry about the fear. And in fact, what you are doing is you are actually creating your reality. And the science of that is basically you are sending out light screens of information of your consciousness into the outside field in the 5 meter sphere of where you create, and you're projecting that onto the inside wall of this 5 meter sphere, which has a direct mirror right back the same image on the outside wall. And between your 1 meter sphere and your 5 meter sphere, you're creating your whole reality. So if you're locked onto the fear of a virus, you're helping to draw that as in an information structure into your consciousness. And just as you drew it into your consciousness, you can also remove it with technologies. You know, once a very interesting way of removing or stopping information coming in. So if you don't believe that, for instance, that there is any virus coming in, or you don't believe you need a vaccine, or you don't believe you need a mask, if some information comes to you from, say, social media or television or people around you, in your consciousness, it's enough to say, I do not accept this information, because it's only in your consciousness that you can be faster than the information that is actually coming to you. It's like doing a virtual stop sign with your hand. As the information comes to you, it's not that you're rejecting it or pretending it's not there. It's that you're harmonizing information and you won't let it dock on your consciousness and start for you to start thinking and feeling into it, and then bringing it very much into your reality. So there's some questions you need to ask yourself at the moment, because you need to be aware in every moment. So what matrix am I on? Where am I? Am I in the fear matrix, or am I seeing with compassion? Am I feeling that my life is joyful even though there's absolute drama going on? Am I deeply connected to me? Can you see behind corruption or a veil? Can you see that this information out there is not true? Can you see what's true for you? Are you asking yourself critical questions? And it's interesting because this is, a couple of words of many that are not allowed in social media, and now they just censor what you want to say. It's not okay to critically think and ask questions. Do you believe that you choose your reality? Because it's really your belief of how you create your reality. Interestingly, if I go back to looking at how we create, if you have information in your reality, in your matrix, in your field, and it's not in harmony, it will start to really build momentum and actually be projected into the outer world with people and situations. So it almost to the point that it causes you pain. Why are we seeing so much fear and all the rest in the outer world? You are seeing what has been hidden in the collective consciousness for over 26,000 years. This thinking has been deeply buried in the consciousness of everybody on the planet. And at the moment, we are rising. We're seeing we're seeing all this fear coming up, and it's triggering within us where we still have fear. And if we can observe and say, in this instance, I have fear. What is true for me in this moment? Am I safe in this moment? Am I okay in this moment? And when you can ask yourself some questions like that, you can start to step out of that. Of course, there are many technologies that we use in the teachings of Grabovoi to be able to move that. But I just wanted to give you this little understanding of how, when you perceive the information, then you bring it to you and then you anchor it within your field of creating. And this is why it docks onto you and you feel like your world is in chaos. And others will look at it and they won't. They'll be actually experiencing the opposite. So can you observe both the 3D and 5D matrices? Can you observe that there is a fear matrix, a control matrix, a limitation matrix? And can you see that there's also another matrix where there's a higher perception, a higher awareness happening, where you can see that there is a game going on, but there are pieces of the puzzle and that everything is orchestrated and grandly designed. And feel your energy. How do you feel in your physical body? Because as a soul, as you as a soul, your body is giving you feedback as how you're going in the external reality. So don't disconnect it from your body. Don't get into your logic trying to sort it out. How does my body feel? Does it feel like it's fully energized? If it isn't, you may have some stuck energy in there, and you might need to have some self-care or self-love by either, doing meditation or yoga, going for a walk, being in nature. Because when you look in nature, nature has a beautiful way of balancing things. And there's this beautiful exchange that happens when we take a breath in, we're taking in the breath of life. When we're releasing, we're letting out carbon dioxide, which is what the trees need. And there is a beautiful exchange from nature all around us, and we are intricately connected to that. So lots to go through, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about what's coming up in 2012, the end of it at the 21st of December. We have a global focus on Uluru, where we have a ceremony that's going to activate the special crystal that was placed there by the Palladian Xeons of times ago. And this is to help to shift people into the 5D matrix that's going on. This is also the summer solstice, the winter solstice. It's also the alignment of Pluto and Jupiter. And this hasn't happened for nearly 700 years. So it's a very auspicious time. This is the shift we all need. We need everybody to be focused on at 9:02. This is Uluru time. This is Central Australia for wherever you are in the world. We'll be doing a global activation here in Australia. We'll be, everybody's welcome to join in for wherever you are in the world. If you want to know more, then please definitely email us and I'll send you some further information. So just finally, as you look into the outside world and you start to perceive things, do it from the point of a higher perspective. And I guess one of the things that we discussed today, which really important to help to shift you, is when you observe things, instead of reacting to it, think, how would love act in this situation? What would love do? And love is not conditional. It has compassion. It has a joy around it. So what would love do in this situation? Would it condemn and scream at somebody? Put your mask on? No, love wouldn't be doing that. So have a think about that. Also think about, how are you in your body at the moment? Because the energies are really all over the place. You can almost say that some days are heavy and some days are light. You can really, the body is really getting impact and purged. We are detoxing on so many levels. And in fact, this is a perfect time leading up to the preparation on that 21st of December to really cleanse the body, to lighten it up. And I'm not just talking about physically, I'm talking about your heart, your mind, your soul, all of that needs a good cleansing. And there are many ways that you can do it in your practice. Of course, we do it in one way in our collective, in E=VS, and certainly use technologies that change things almost instantaneously. So thanks for joining us today. I hope this helps. Just be really mindful and be very aware of how you're behaving at any moment. Thanks so much. I love you. Bye-bye.